Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. In the studio we have the lovely
Natkunda Esther.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you guys for having me. Yo, it's been a minute, but I'm back.
Yeah. So we have a sister. She's African and living in America. Actually, she's been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
As an African living in the United States, I used to share the same sentiment that Africans share about African Americans because I had a hard time when I first moved here. People used to always tell me, "You're not black enough, you're an Oreo, you're secretly white on the inside," as if I wasn't literally from Africa. But I now understand after living here for 8 years that black in the United States is a very specific criteria, and anything outside of that just doesn't fit. But I want to help African Americans understand that Africans coming to the United States are immigrants, first and foremost. Then they are Nigerian or Senegalese or whatever country they're from. And then at some point, they are black. But Africans don't put black high up on their identity well as much as African Americans do. And that is for legitimate reasons on both ends. And so when an African is coming to the United States, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm an immigrant here. I have to do my best for myself and my family back home. The sacrifices that took for me to get here were no light work. Okay, so I need to really align myself with what's going to make me successful in this country. And because it's the United States, it's the dominant culture, which is white American culture. And so Africans are going to instinctively ally themselves with the culture that's going to give them the most success. I mean, African Americans even admit that they have to code switch to be successful here because that's what brings success. And so Africans are like, all right, we'll do that. And it also doesn't help that for a long time, Africans are fed a very negative view of Black American culture, and that's its own propaganda. But because Africans are so conservative and they're coming to a country where Black Americans have been labeled as the antithesis to this conservative traditional family values, they have, if anything, more in common with Southern Baptist white racist people. But that aside, going back to identity markers, Black Americans put Black first and foremost, and then everything else goes below it. And so they're thinking when another Black people come to our country, they're going to want to integrate with us, the other Black people, because Black comes first. And they get quickly disappointed in realizing that for Africans, Black and the identity and that coming is not first. Their immigrant identity comes first, and then their country. And if anything, for us as Africans to feel like that's my brother, that's my brethren, or whatever, you have to come from the same tribe as us, because we have so many Black people around, we don't automatically pre-select for Black. But Black Americans don't have so many Black people around, have had to defend and protect their culture amidst a dominant white culture, and so they are already pre-select and are overprotective for Black. And so that's why I think at the core of it, there's a deep misunderstanding because of not realizing that we put where we put our identity markers and what we put first and what we prioritize are so different culturally because of our differences in trauma, realistically. And so it does make sense that Black Americans will be like, oh, my people, my brethren come here. And African Americans, or Africans, coming to the United States are like, I'm just trying to make it here. It's a lot of work to immigrate to the United States. And so y'all can stay over there, and I can see why it's hurtful, and I can see why it's taken personally, and I can see the deep misunderstanding and the betrayal that African Americans feel. But it's unfortunate, and that's just a reality. But if we can talk about it from this perspective, I think we can get to a better understanding. But I also believe that Africans that spend enough time in the United States get to this compassion and understanding of the Black American community, because it is a very unique and specific set of circumstances for a culture to grow and to develop.
You sent me also videos of diaspora wars.
Yes.
It's this thing that every single year has to come out, and it's exhausting. What do you think brings out this thing? Because I really don't know. I really don't. You wake up and it's like on the internet.
Yeah. I think diaspora wars are caused by one thing and one thing only, and it has nothing to do with white people. It has to do with us as Black people. We have failed to come to terms within ourselves as Black people around the world. I don't care if you're Jamaican or from America or from Africa. We have come to a conclusion that we must segregate ourselves. Still, we cannot come to common ground and accept that we are one people. So we are more attacking ourselves instead of attacking the person who started the segregation.
Yeah.
we're keeping it going.
These are conversations that I'm really tired of having. But it's like you can't avoid it. You really can't.
Yes.
Especially because it's like it puts a bad name on you as an African, and then it also like brings in pressure from the black people outside the continent. Going back to what this lady was saying, an African coming to America will not see themselves as black, even though they are black in that society.
Yes.
It takes time for them to
identify as black.
Exactly. And this is something that I know offends a lot of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora.
Yes.
Like, I always also say this. Before I left my country to travel, if anybody, and all the people that were asking me where I was from, it was always Uganda. Oh, I'm Uganda. I'm from Uganda. If they asked anything else, if I met anybody else from any other African country, then maybe if they asked for a tribe, I would say the tribe or the religion. It was never, I'm black, even though I knew, like,
you are black.
Yes.
I think the thing is, when African people come and say, I never understood or I never knew that I was black until I went to a certain country, other people are like, what do you mean?
Like, what?
The thing is, what the world does not understand about Africa is, you don't even first identify yourself as African.
Exactly.
You identify yourself first as where you come from.
And that's your country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in Uganda, when someone asks you, where do you come from? You say your tribe.
Yeah.
When you go outside of Africa, other people will be like, what's wrong with you? Don't you see that the people that don't look like us, they identify us as our skin tones?
Yeah.
But you as an African, it's more like you as an African, you're betraying fellow black people. How dare you not identify as us? This is why you get terms like you're African, but you're Oreo in the inside. It's like you're denying your blackness. It's the same thing with Tyler. Tyler knows she's black.
She knows she's black.
She knows she's black. But from a childhood, she has never identified as black because she comes from an African traditionness of being colored.
Yeah.
There is no way you're going to convince me to consider myself as black first than my tribe first. I understand people from the diaspora might feel like it's kind of like betrayal. It's more like you want to side more with the whites than as the blacks.
Yeah.
But the reality is, guys, the moment an Africa enters a country that is not on the continent, the first instincts that they have is survival, ladies and gentlemen. They did not come here to make a black person happy. They did not come here to make a white person happy.
They came to survive.
They came to survive. They came to make money. And if it's the white man that's going to give me that money,
that's where
where I'm going to be.
No shade, no disrespect.
That's the reality.
But it's how humans work and function, unfortunately.
Yeah. And also, I see sometimes when people in the diaspora can say on the internet that Africans don't like us. You might think Africans don't like you, but actually, it's not that Africans don't like you. It's because we as African people, we have some kind of pride within ourselves. There's a certain way Africans, we pride in ourselves to be Africans. Actually, some Africans, when they go to the States, let's say in the UK, immediately they turn American.
The accent changes.
Immediately they turn British. Now
they are no longer African.
Now there's a typical African like me. I will find you and I ask you where you come from and you tell me, I'm from Birmingham. Immediately I give you a criminal offense side eye because you are westernized already. So I am judging you as a black person. How dare you not identify as your African nation?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
By the time I get to understand that you're actually not African, Ugandan, African Nigerian, you're African American. I'm like,
you're British African.
I'm British African.
You're black British.
See? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I never understand people that say, I'm Nigerian British, I'm Nigerian American, I'm Ugandan American. Girl, you're African.
I always say this. I went to schools where we had a lot of like missionary people that would come to like our schools.
Yeah.
I never got to see any black child that ever came in those groups. And it's something that I always thought that maybe when I travel, I say this all the time, like maybe when I travel, then I'll meet them, or they just don't like to come to Uganda because maybe they don't like us too. Like, it's like something I just thought. Nobody told me that, but I just felt it. Yeah.
Guys, not only as a child, me myself, at 28 years of age. Guys, let's be honest. When you grow up seeing a certain type of people, that's what you're naturally going to gravitate towards too. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but when I go to a country that is not in Africa, I am most likely to gravitate towards the white people because I've seen them more on the continent. Why? It would be nice for me, guys, to associate with my fellow brothers and sisters from the diaspora that look like me. But in my 28 years, I have only seen one in Dubai and my boss. That is the reality in Africa. And also, a lot of Africans also run away from their African identity. So majority of the times when you find Africans and they seem like they are uninterested in you as an African American, unknowingly, they could be seeing you as an African person running away from your identity.
As them they are doing.
Yes.
What the lady was also saying, an African coming to America is in survival mode, like you mentioned.
Yes.
They will not gravitate towards the black community because they mentally know it's a white society and it's the whites that control that society, and they are the ones that probably have more to offer
Yes.
than the black people, you know. And then when it comes also with the stereotypes that they may become with, it will be even harder for them to be there. And then it hurts that when someone comes, you have to tell them, you know, you're white inside, you're African, but you're white inside.
Yes.
When, if I'm to say the same thing to you, I'll be like, you hate us and you don't like us, and you say whatever you say about Africans, and you don't even want to come to the continent because the same information that was fed to you is the same different information that was fed to me. So it goes vice versa. And I really hate when most of the hate and the smoke has to be put on the Africans. Another thing that I wish our brothers in the diaspora would understand is you have one enemy that you're fighting in America, or let's say in Europe.
And that's the white man.
We, on the other hand, in Africa, we have a lot of struggles going on and we've never had rest. Even today in 24, we keep on receiving different kind of people coming in to take whatever we have.
Yeah.
Because nobody goes to America anymore to take over America. Like, what is there to take except money?
But now you still got the Chinese, you want the Russian wants a part of you.
You finish Britain, Italy comes in. You finish Italy, Arabs come in. You feel like we've not had that rest, and then now we also have to adapt to accepting and like labeling ourselves on a skin color tone, which we didn't even grow up thinking in our heads. To me, I always thought what matters is my country and you know where I come from in terms of that setting. But then when you grow and then you have to adapt to what the white man sees you as, and now I have to let go of my Africanness, I have to let go of my Ugandan part of culture to myself and just adapt to just skin color. That's where I'm like,
no,
it's not really okay. And I really don't like go by that. I'll always talk about we are black people, which we are, but I'll never put black before being African.
You know what?
And it doesn't take away the struggles that we all face. Because they are all the same. You face them as a black person. I still face the same things as African. In the continent. We are still the same. It's just these names that should not take away that we are all struggling in the same way.
I also feel like in a certain way, when Africans go to the diaspora, from what I see on the internet from diaspora people, there's this kind of like a vibe. As an African, when you come to diaspora, you must associate and side with us, the blacks that you found here.
It's a must. You have to.
It's a must. It's an unspoken rule. We are fighting the same common enemy. It's like you as an African, immediately you have to side yourself, pick a side, and fight the same battle that we are fighting against the other person. Not knowing the African person you want to side with you, to identify black as with you. They are still confused how to fight the Chinese. They are still thinking how to fight the French. They are still confused how to fight the Arab. It's too much for me to side with you.
We all have traumas, but we should not put only one group of people to be more superior above everybody else. We should just know we are all equal and we are having the same struggles and battles, which we need to find a way to conquer them. And at this point in time, it's not about skin color. It's about working together.
And the reality is, guys, me, from my experience, like I said, I have barely met African Americans. 99.9 chances are an African is going to see you from the point of view of what they see on TV. And vice versa, you
Yeah.
are going to see an African from the point of a village flying around its head because your poor
Yeah.
Africans live in huts.
Yeah.
That's the idea that you're going to
Yeah,
have.
I know some of you are pissed. I know you're like triggered with what we had to say. I know some would understand, and I hope some or most would understand. Also, on that video of that lady, I looked into the comments. They were very positive.
Yeah.
There was a lot of African Americans, Jamaicans, Black British. Like they were all talking about how it's no longer like a time now to be in conflict, and our skin should not determine the things that we need to fix. Because at the end of the day, if you're African, Black, or whatever, if we are still being under a system of other people, be it whites, Asians, Arabs, it's still other groups of people that are taking control from us.
Yeah.
So these things of war between us, and sometimes I think they come from like people that are not even Africans, because I don't even see this on a normal daily. Like I never walk around in Kampala and see people fighting, or even when it comes to tribes.
Yes.
I have never seen anyone fight in person in my face over tribes.
Yeah.
You see those things on the internet, and you know, people saying things or tribal things,
But it's not a daily thing.
but I don't see it. So it's the same thing when you come across these kind of conversations where we are attacking ourselves, and sometimes I'm like, because it's mostly even the private accounts, I'm like, are they even us? Yeah, like, is it even us doing this, or is these other people that just want to get on our brains so that we stir up more shit or whatever?
You know what, guys? I will never forget a certain scenario when I was in South Africa at Home Affairs trying to get an asylum. Blacks against blacks, Africans against, we even had firearms like this one, a black person put. And you know what the white man was doing in the office? Sipping coffee, watching us through a mirror. I always use that as an example. These people be watching. They are finding ways on how to control your resources. You in the internet fighting each other.
Yeah.
No, we need to move away from that.
Yeah.
We take more time to fight ourselves and say negatively about ourselves more than bonding with each other. So
Yeah.
it's gotta stop.
But this is the thing. It's nice when you see someone trying to explain to you something and not coming from a space of arrogancy.
Yeah.
Like, of course, she says she was attacked before when she came to America. She was called names and all that bullying happened. But now she's in a time where she understands your struggles. It took her time. It's not like immediately when she came, she just had to forget her African self and just bond immediately. It took time, and now she gets to understand the struggles that happen in America, because now when you're there, you just have to wear the black personality and just be seen for the skin and not for the person, which is different when we are in the continent, because we are all the same. I just hope like people stop wanting to make us feel like we are dumb as Africans and that we don't know anything or we don't have any struggles we just take from other people, when in fact every other person is. Even today in 2024, they are still coming to the continent. I wish we got some grace as Africans.
Yeah.
It's just not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, any last words?
Love each other.
We love you. We send you flowers.
Wait, if you have reached this point of the video, you have not subscribed to her channel, darling, please come on, do the most. Subscribe, hit that notification button so anytime she uploads a video, you are there to know the girl is here. And of course, subscribe to my channel, 𝗬cie_𝗂𝗏.
It will be in the description below, guys. That is it for us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.